Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you're currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Arwin, Chocolate Sane, and Sleeping Warrior. Good to have you, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Morning, good morning.
So,
Good morning.
let's get down to business. I don't have no time for business. What's the words? Anyway, don't matter. Housekeeping, let's go.
Any signs of curvature?
I like
gentlemen?
that song. It's a good song.
No signs of curve. None.
Still waiting for Travis's proof.
Travis? What's Travis got to offer?
Oh, that's not very
Arwin, come on, man.
Was that just a very poor sexist joke?
Pretty much.
Fair enough. Any signs of axial rotation?
No.
Not
Well, actually,
that's
I'm
strange
sorry.
variety.
On the curvature front, these guys sent me a link to a guy named Hith talking about Soundly's picture, and that apparently is proof of bendy water. So yeah, thanks guys.
He's had a haircut because I called him names, but he also wears eyeliner, so he needs to be called a little bit more names. If you're going to believe that Hith is now some kind of authority on the curvature of the Earth and he wears eyeliner, I think we have more problems than the curvature of the Earth to worry about.
Yeah, I could agree with that because I thought it was going to be some type of compelling proof or something. And
I think he wears nail polish as well, you know.
I mean, you might as well.
Did he have anything to offer in terms of proof of curvature, though?
No. He just cited Soundly as some kind of, like, authority, and I'm like, Jesus, you're new to Flat Earth, aren't you?
Did he not
Right.
know that Soundly's...
I thought it might have been something I haven't seen before, some type of compelling proof. But again, it's just some guy sitting in his house in front of a camera talking about Soundly's picture. So... Nah, I'm
It's a
good.
bit like Simon Dunn, isn't it?
It's exactly what Simon Dan does. He's a guy sitting in his freaking house talking about flat Earth with a little globe behind him with no science. So I mean,
There is no science for a ball Earth.
Waking up.
Oh, stream offline. What's going on?
What?
No, stream resumed. Don't know what's going on there. Alright, any signs of the distance to the sun being proven?
There is no distance to the sun, Nathan.
Well said.
Video output low. Give me a second, guys. I'm just going to fiddle with something. See if I can get it to...
Woohoo! Not that.
Man, YouTube is glitching all over the place.
Yeah, it's terrible. Well, I'm glad I'm recording it, so if the live show is terrible, at least you can watch it on the backup channel.
Right.
The recording will be okay. My bad, it's just a poor signal. Looks like there's not a lot I can do about it.
Yeah.
Sorry to those in the live audience. What about gas pressure without a container? Any signs of that?
No, don't be silly, Nathan. That would defy the second law of thermodynamics, entropy. You can't have gas pressure next to a vacuum of space without some kind of membrane. Don't be ridiculous.
It's not even theoretically possible.
Yet people still believe it.
But the whole globe Earth is based around the sphere Earth having gas pressure in a vacuum of space, though, Anthony. So how do people believe this nonsense?
I don't know, Nathan. We're only the messenger.
Fair enough.
Of science.
I've got a screen cap of that. Anyway.
Oh, I already said whatever is out there, if there is open space out there, however big it may be, it's not going to be a vacuum. Even with gravity, or however you're going to approach gravity in that sense. So, yeah, there may be thinner air. It's not going to be a vacuum. Ever.
Well,
it's physically impossible.
People still believe it.
Talking of believing things, any scientific evidence of gravity?
Not yet.
9
Still working on it.
Nope.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No.
Yeah, at the presupposed spherical Earth, there is.
No, the answer's no, Arwin. Let them say that.
Well, no, it's not. It's Arwen's trying to be clever, but the question is: any evidence of the molten iron core at the centre of the presupposed spherical Earth? So you can't have the presupposition first. The molten iron core bit comes first.
Yeah, but you're being more specific. So
Nah,
at
I just ordered the question
Earth,
in the right
yeah.
way. Nah, it's just the question's the
You're
right
gonna
way
presuppose
around.
a spherical Earth, then you can presuppose a molten iron core. Why not?
Exactly, Arwen. Precisely. But they still claim it's true, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
See, we found the evidence.
That's not. I said this
let's
yesterday.
not look any further.
Yesterday, I explained the presupposition, and you're like, "There you go, you get it." I'm like, that doesn't mean I stand under it. It just means I understand the nonsense. Anyway, what have we not had? The presupposition itself. What about evidence of the R value?
No.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it?
It is a problem, Arwin.
A little bit. Yeah.
All you can go with is what you see and what you then assume that what you're seeing is. That is a globe. So, globe of the heavens surrounding your view. So, yeah, if that is all physically literal to you, then yeah, it would be much easier to imagine the Earth being a ball in between all that. But is that real? Because you don't know what they are, the stars and the sun and the moon. It's just lights. You don't know what they are. You don't even know if they are physically, literally there, or if it's just something you see, a holographic effect. You don't know this. Can't prove it. All you can prove is that there's light and that it's being observed from exact angular positions in relation to the Earth, and that is all you know.
Arwen, come on, man. You know, man drove doom buggies on the moon, played golf, spoke to Richard Nixon. Come on. You know it's all true. Just admit it.
I think that pretty much concludes the housekeeping. Radius Dominus, Gravitas Spiritus Sanctus, Arwin. Go in peace, in R you trust.
But have no evidence for. Trying to have a conversation with Flat Earth Math Charles. You know, that really, really nice guy, but tells lies to people. He basically admits that he can't give me the distance to the sun where 93 million miles is concerned, because you have to, and these are his words, you have to work out what shape of the Earth you're on first, which of course is absolutely correct, because you can't do the maths unless you know whether it's spherical or curved, because it changes the numbers. And as most people in the discussion realize and accept, it doesn't naturally follow that it's one or the other. You have to work it out. But the maths works both ways. Most people accept that the maths works both ways. And when you realise that, that makes it imperative that you know what shape the Earth is. And to answer the question Flat Earth Math said to me, we first need to know what is the shape of the Earth. And obviously he says it's a sphere, and I say, well, how do you know? So you can't answer the question of how far away is the sun unless you know what shape the Earth is. And what do you know? He's not able to tell me the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Not with any evidence, anyway.
Right. They're so used to presupposing are and people letting them. Whereas, you know, since I've been shouting at people, no, you can't beg the question, they don't seem to come in so often and beg the question.
No,
that's always amazing. That they get surprised every time that, no, you can't do that. What? Why not? We're so used to it. That's how they think.
Or don't, as the case may be.
No, that's their structure of thinking. Think with presuppositions. It is allowed according to their code of conduct. That's the problem, and they don't understand that that is a problem.
So I want to give a shout out to QNF. Last night it was broadcasting live, and I was in chat, and I asked for a link, and he said he was going to give me one, but he never got round to giving me one. I think he got sidetracked, but then I lost interest because I asked about 4 or 5 times, and then he got pawn bombed. Somebody pawn bombed him, and obviously I got blamed for it because I was in the chat. Let me just state the position publicly. I did not link from QNF. I could not have pawn bombed him. I went to bed because I gave up on it. He got sidetracked arguing about something, and I couldn't be bothered waiting. So, somewhat rudely, I went to bed. So, shout out to QNF. But I did not pawn bomb you last night, dude. I was in bed.
What was the consequences? Has he lost his channel, or?
I honestly don't know. I've not looked into it. I just know that that's what happened.
I'm not a regular.
Or rather, I believe that's what happened.
I'm not a regular watcher of QNFE, so what's the score on that channel? Is it a good channel? Like I said, I don't watch it.
I don't know. It's the first time I've seen him live. I didn't know he was an Indian dude. But I was interested to speak to them because... Oh, by the way, yeah. I wanted to speak to him because Brandon Toy was in. And he's only recently found out about the... you know how the sun and the moon, like, Catherine wheel across the sky, slowly on a rotation? And obviously the reason why it's upside down if you're in Australia is because you're not looking north, you're now looking south when you observe it. But the reason it's upside down relative to the other people is that you're viewing it differently. You're viewing it from the other perspective. But anyway, point being, he didn't know that the sun and the moon Catherine wheeled across the sky. But he was like, well, why are people not talking about this? And the answer, of course, is because it's years old. This is something that we knew about a long time ago and forgotten about it. But to him, it's like a really big flat earth proof. And it is, of course. You can't have the chances of this being the case on the heliocentric nonsense is ridiculous. But on a flat earth, it makes perfect sense. We see the sun and the moon rotate Catherine wheel style because the earth's flat. And the sun's going over it, and the moon's going over it, and that's why it Catherine wheels in the sky. But people don't seem to get it. Quite embarrassing, really. But Brandon, my point was that Brandon was like, "Oh my God, this is a real big flat Earth proof. Why are people not talking about it?" Well, the answer, of course, is that we have been, but it's years old now, and I think we've forgotten about it.
Yeah, it's one of them. You just accept what you know. Based on what you've looked at, and like you say, although I'd looked at the moon a lot, it hadn't occurred to me that the motion wasn't at all in keeping with the heliocentric model. And I think it was Phuket Word that actually did it from London and then on the equator in Thailand, and just showed the difference. And it's like, look, that's going over my head. It's because I'm on the equator. I've got to turn around because it's the other side of the midpoint on the equator. So, that's where they get the logical extraction of R from, isn't it? The path of the sun and the moon. So, that's all they've done. The sun moves in a circle, and now we move around the sun in a circle because we're on a sphere. It's complete nonsense.
Yeah, so Brandon was basically saying, well, why are we not all talking about this? Because he obviously realises it's quite pertinent. And I agree completely. We should be reminding people that the sun and the moon, Catherine, wheel across the night sky, or the sky day or night. And people need to know about this because it is a flat Earth proof. It proves that we cannot be on a sphere. This would not happen on a sphere. It's not part of their model. It's nonsense.
Yeah, indeed. Same goes for the sun and the sunspots. If you've got a solar filter, you can watch the sun do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Hello, mate. It's Event Horizon here. Oh, you're talking about the moon.
Very soft. I can barely hear you.
I'm trying to be as loud as I can, Arvin. I do apologise, mate. Can you hear me better now?
Nathan might be able to turn you up a little bit.
I've turned him at max. He's still very quiet.
Is that any better?
A little bit. We can hear you now,
better.
just about.
Yeah, that's excellent. You're talking about the moon cartwheeling across the sky, and obviously there's quite a lot of observational evidence to support that. What about sunspots? Is there anywhere that you can point that somebody's got evidence of sunspots also doing this cartwheel?
Yeah, the sun does it as well. The sunspots, Catherine Wheel too.
Yeah,
someone was doing that recently. Was it?
Or a link or...
I'm sure it was. It'll come to me. It might have been Paula that was doing it recently. Knowledge Scavenger. I'm sure she was watching the sun with a really good filter and watching the sunspots
all the time. Yeah,
so it's exactly the same phenomena that it's cartwheeling across the sky as we would look at it over the period of the day.
I couldn't really hear what you
Paula's
said.
a regular sun tracker, so she knows what goes around with the sun. Astronomy-wise.
Yeah, definitely check out Paula's channel, Knowledge Scavenger. But yeah, she's got some really good footage. Good discussions
and lots
as well.
of Bible and stuff. Which are pretty good as well. Very detailed.
Simon Dam was under attack from what's his face, John the Morgile, on the basis that again he was doing a response video and he failed to address the points being raised, other than by just saying I don't agree with that. The pointing hand this time was.
Hello,
Hi.
Yo,
Hi.
Pointed hand this time was that Venus shouldn't be seen beyond sunset by much time at all. And I agree. You shouldn't see Venus on the heliocentric model much after sunset because the horizon becomes your vanishing point. And that was the point that John was asking. And he didn't answer it. He just ridiculed it. And it's like that doesn't provide the answer as in the alternative.
Yeah.
And he pointed out that when you go onto things like timeanddate.com or whatever to watch, there's equivalents that you can go for the planets that are like time and date. And he doesn't realize that when you look onto these dates, these websites to see what time Venus is supposed to set, that's based on real world observation. That is not based on the heliocentric model. John's point is that on the heliocentric model, this is nonsense. Just because it does that on a table on real world does not mean that it's consistent with the heliocentric model. It's the model that's inconsistent with the real world tables.
To give the broad strokes, if you're on the sphere, Venus is behind you. It's on the other side, the daytime side of the sphere. So to see it at that time, you'd have to be looking back through the physical rock that is the globe Earth, and that's not possible. So in essence, it's an impossibility on the heliocentric sphere model to have that Venus setting that late.
Chris? Speak up, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Where did he go?
I think he dropped. He must have technical issues.
Which Chris was it?
And how do they explain that?
With ridicule. That's all
Well, they don't.
Simon Dan did.
That's the
Ridiculed
point. That's the point. Simon Dan's attempt. Someone causing feedback. Can you mute if you're not talking? Yeah, so Simon Dan's explanation was to just say, here's the observation tables that say it should be seen. And as Anthony's just pointed out, simply going to a star chart that gives you real world observational times of when it will set doesn't prove that it works in the heliocentric model, and that was Morgul's point to begin with. it just wasn't addressed. I mean, I left a comment saying I've seen the reverse from here, which is to say that according to those charts, the ones that Dan has referred to in terms of real-world observation, it says that Venus will set, this is a totally different time of the year, at about 6 a.m. So
hey, it's me.
Hi.
How you doing?
What's up, man? How y'all doing?
Not bad, not bad. Good to have you. But I've watched Venus well after 9 a.m. So sort of 7, 8, 9, 3 hours after it's supposed to have not been visible anymore, sort of just after sunrise. But there it is. You can just keep an eye on it. The cloud comes, and as long as you keep your eyes on it, you can see the cloud cover it and then uncover it, and there it still is. So, you know, I've watched it well after the times that people claim it's supposed to be there. Venus it was my favourite thing to keep an eye on because it was just fascinating. It doesn't seem to do what they say it should do. So it's very interesting if you're just getting into flat Earth and you've not really looked at the stars. Keep an eye on Venus.
Yeah. But then what that then does is it leaves you in a position where you have to question what is Simon Dan, because he either didn't understand the point that was being made, or he understood it completely and deliberately, like a shill, presented disinformation. Now, I think we should maybe eye on the side of caution with him because we don't really know. But the point is that the guy seems to be illiterate when it comes to the science. The one thing that he's supposed to be good at, he seems to be scientifically illiterate at, which I find quite interesting given his name.
I don't think he's presented a single adherence to the scientific method yet. He hasn't presented any science at all to date.
No.
Anyway, pseudoscience man Dan.
I'm not quite sure how to take him, but there's not a lot of science from him, and on that basis, he can't go around calling himself Simon Dan when he has no science, right? It seems to be like calling yourself Prince Philip when you're not a prince.
Right. Yeah, it's false advertising. Hey, Spec.
Yeah. Hey.
Hey, guys.
Good to have you.
Maybe
Hello.
Sci just stands for science fiction.
I wonder
Maybe.
if his first name's actually Simon, and Simon is actually a play on the word Simon.
Have you asked him?
Oh, no, he's not going to respond to me now. Little me, I have no reputation.
You do, actually.
When he makes it to 100,000 subs,
Simon Dan, I don't.
Right on. When he makes it to 1,000, which he absolutely will, because he knows he will.
Leave you on there.
I like those things, those little tells that people give off when they're lying, and they just talk too much. So he was having a back and forth with me in a comment section, and he was like, "I'm going nowhere, sunshine, and when I get to 100,000 subs," I was like, "Oh yeah, I don't know if my channel will still be here tomorrow. It might get shut down. YouTube might change the rules. Everyone might fall out of favour with me. I might not get to 8,000 subs. I'd love to. I'm 100 off, and I can't wait. I hope I get to 8,000 subs, but I've got no idea where my sub count will be 6 months, 12 months from now." Dan, on the other hand, he knows he's getting to 100,000 because that's how many he's paid for.
Yeah, exactly. It's a safe bet because he paid for it.
It's just
He must-
little
he must have
just
slowed
like
the
a
tap down.
crystal ball.
He must have slowed the tap down a little bit, though, because he seems to have backed off a little bit now, slowing it down a little bit, because he's under a bit of pressure, because everybody realises that this is not bloody right.
Now I'd imagine the people that actually sell them, they want a future customer base. So you've got to think you're not just arguing with Dan, you're arguing with somebody that is potentially putting their business at risk. If we say, obviously this is fake, and they would want to at least give off the perception that their customers are getting real subs. They're giving them money, but they don't want to just immediately be accused of faking it. So in many ways, I would imagine the people, whoever they may be, that are subscribing to him, if it's in career or if it's sub for sub or whatever the hell he's doing. Hi, was.
I was.
Hello. They're not gonna want to be accused of faking either. Whoever's faking on his behalf, whoever he's paid. So
We got a full panel. So
it's not in their interest to seem fake, because otherwise no one will pay for their services in the future, right?
Well, be interesting to see whether he survives. Because without any science to be presenting with for your arguments for why we live on a sphere, you can't really call yourself Simon Dan. Seems a little bit of a paradox.
Well, the other thing he might want to look into is the YouTube purge. So the YouTube algorithm gets ever smarter, figuring out how to wipe out fake subs. So obviously the people who sell subs want to get around the YouTube algorithm, and they've got more and more complicated in terms of how they fake sub people's accounts when you pay for them. But YouTube will eventually figure it out and wipe out those subs. It happens all the time. People will be bitching and moaning about losing a few thousand subs, and it's like, those are probably the subs you paid for when you first opened your account. Now they've just wiped them out because they're not real subs. And YouTube don't want people to have fake subs on their account. They want people to have genuine accounts. And if this goes right up to the top, I can't remember who it was. There was a famous YouTuber who was like top 10 trending all the time. And suddenly YouTube purge wiped out like a quarter of his subs, and it was into the millions. Just crazy, crazy, crazy numbers of people just wiped out. Now, it wasn't necessarily the case that that person was buying subs themselves, but their fan base was buying subs. And I discussed this with Patricia, this is probably a year ago, and she was saying, yeah, there's a whole group, subcategory of people that aren't interested in the content, they're interested in watching the popularity on Social Blade, so they'll track their favourite YouTubers and sometimes even buy them subscribers. You're like, wow, what an outrage. So, again, like I said, this is a while back looking into this, but I remember looking into it and finding a few YouTubers that had detailed accounts of, like I say, them waking up one morning with a huge number of subs that they'd got no idea how they'd got them. They'd not, you know, gone out and got any great publicity that week or done amazing videos that week, but suddenly they got a load of subscribers, and their only conclusion was that someone had bought them for them. And you go, well, that obviously does happen, and YouTube still catch up with them. They still wipe them out.
I haven't heard of Eric Dubay for ages.
Say again?
I haven't heard of Eric Dubay for ages.
Heard of Eric Dubay?
I'm joking. Oh, it doesn't matter, Nathan. Go back to sleep on that one.
Okay, fair enough. I have no idea what that reference is. I don't keep up to date with Eric Dubay anymore.
Have you guys ever considered the psychological impacts of having subscribers?
Not really.
Well, if you think about it, it could be considered like social engineering. Because, well, have you ever heard of sesame currency?
Say that again. Sesame currency?
Yeah.
No, that's a new one on me.
Definitely look it up. What it is, it's I believe they actually do that in China, where you have a currency based on you. And if you take out your garbage on time and bring it in on time, then you get points. And it's a basis for the government to give you certain privileges. So if you have a poorer currency level, then you may have to take the longer line at the DMV or at the, you know, State Department or whatever you need to do.
You mean social status?
Yes,
yeah,
but
that sounds like a social credit score.
That is the social status. That they made it kind of like a currency, but it's basically a status.
Right, and we're doing it now with Facebooks and likes and subscribers and all that kind of stuff. And I know I showed Nathan that it's really easy to falsify views. It was a long time ago, but I built a program that was able to basically falsify views. And if you think about it, let's pretend that you're Joe Schmo YouTuber and you get these subscribers, and then all of a sudden you lose a bunch of subscribers. So you go and do your research and you're like, oh, well, this was the show where I said, you know, something about gay people or whatever. I'm not going to do that anymore. And then, you know, you get some subscribers back, and you can see how that kind of influences, you know, what actually gets presented.
I think that would only apply though if you've got vanity. Most people, apart from maybe Nathan or whatever, Nathan's got vanity. Nathan does want his channel to grow. I'm not really interested in my channel growing. I'm more interested in the word getting out. But if you have that vanity, then yeah, it would affect you. But if you don't have that vanity, then it isn't going to affect you. How many people have got the vanity?
Vanity sounds really detrimental. A desire to succeed on YouTube isn't vanity. That's just a desire to succeed in whatever I'm endeavouring to do at the time. So it wouldn't matter what career or what career path I chose. I want to do the best at it. And in the case of YouTube, the idea of fake subs really intrigued me. I mean, as Spec said about 12 months ago, mainly because Patricia was intrigued about it and she was constantly asking questions, and I'd got a vague idea at the time. So of course her, I and Spec all went down the same path and started looking at all this stuff. So when Simon Dan comes on the scene, none of this is new. It didn't require any investigation by me whatsoever to immediately go, yeah, total faker, blatantly obvious. Now to me it's blatantly obvious, to Spec it's blatantly obvious. She's not here, but I'm sure if Patricia is on the panel, I'm sure she won't mind me speaking for her. It would be blatantly obvious to her. That's why her and Mark were joking about it the other night, I noticed on their show. And that's because Patricia knows immediately it's a faker. So she's got no hesitation about discussing it openly. She's not thinking, oh no, what if this comes back on me because he's not a faker? Because he is. It's blatantly bloody obvious. But the point is that Patricia and I, the one thing, well, both things that we've got in common is that we hate fake subs. It just annoys us because we're both hard-working YouTubers. And secondly, we want to see a genuine audience watching our stuff. So, you know, it's always been a bugbear of mine that she's doing better than me. But on the other hand, that's good competition. You want genuine competition to make your product better, and in this case it's YouTube videos. This right now that the audience is watching, all 172 people, that's genuine. There's real people watching, arguing in the chat because I've built up an audience. Now if you fake that, you've then got two choices. If you buy a load of subs, you've then got to either fake the live views or fake the whatever the view count after it's rendered's called, the just normal video views. So you're just in a trap of having to fake it. Now, recent research since Simon Dan, i.e. what I've done in the aftermath of him faking his views and subs, is had a look at what the current state of affairs is in terms of the YouTube algorithm. And it would seem that, again, YouTube are perfectly well aware of who's faking it and who aren't, and they push them right down the listings. So you end up with Dan being at page 5. People don't look past page 1 when they search for something. People are bloody lazy. You know, Google know it, YouTube know it. So being on page 5 means that he's obviously not as popular as the million views on a certain video about a gate would suggest. Now, if that was as popular as it seems, then he'd be on page 1 with Vice and ABC and BBC. That's why I use those examples. I mean, since then we've had other people. Leeds Rules did a couple of really cracking videos on it, just highlighting the stats by comparison to people in this small corner of the internet. And again, Anthony and I were discussing this morning and saying the problem is he's probably, when he's decided how many subs he wants, he's looked at other people who are in the heliocentric realm of YouTube. And in that realm of YouTube, 100,000 subs is nothing. You know, I've seen people who've made 2 videos about how cool it is that we went to the moon, and they've got 100,000 subs and a couple of reasonably good videos. So that's probably what he's looked at, not realising that this is flat Earth, a tiny corner of the internet, and he's not in that tiny corner. He's in a subgenre of that tiny corner. He's in anti-flat Earth. So when you compare him to people like Sly Sparkane, Sean Hufford, Reg Rhetoric, you know, the distance between them is just ludicrous. And to even think for 1 second that he would be comparable. Now, I've got, you know, Reg Rhetoric, fellow YouTuber, don't get me wrong, we have our back and forth. But ultimately speaking, he's just another fellow YouTuber who's building up his channel. And by comparison to fake Subman Dan, he looks like he's never done a damn thing. Now, in reality, Reg Rhetoric's got a stonking channel for the genre he's in, anti-flat Earth. You know, that he's probably, I'm sure there are more subscribed to people than Reg Rhetoric, but he's very active in anti-flat Earth and has built up a channel doing exactly that. Dan hasn't. You know, it's just as simple as that.
I'm all right knowing that he's. Oh, by the way, what I meant to say was, Nathan, you better be careful what you say about Simon Dan. By his own words, he has his reputation to protect now. I mean, I don't know what reputation he thinks he's got, but I can tell you what reputation he's actually got if anybody's interested. And Well, there's not really worth protecting there, Simon Dan. A little bit of science would help you there, dude, to be honest.
If you've got a reputation, little things like this don't matter. You know, it knocks your reputation, it puts a little chink in your armour, but that's about it. Whereas if you've got no reputation, then this kind of ordeal, which it will be to Simon Dan, is devastating. You know, you go from, you know, making your first 500 subscribers, thank you very much video, to a couple of months later, you're knocking on the door of 100,000 subs, which will definitely come. And what do you know? You've got somebody accusing you of faking all of that success. And then there's 10 people accusing you of it. Then it's just a joke. Then everybody's well aware of it, and your reputation's in tatters. Well, that's unfortunate, but still very funny.
And once you do that once, you mean nobody's going to trust you again.
My question is, why does he have a reputation? Like, what has he done?
I think he
Has
just
said
jumped on
something
the bandwagon.
profound?
I didn't
mean,
say
maybe I'm out of the loop. Has he said something profound that, you know, proves something? I mean, what is his deal?
No, he doesn't have a reputation. That's the point.
Right.
He thinks he has a reputation that he wants to, quote, protect, but we all know that he doesn't really.
Yeah, if you had one,
But
you
like,
would...
but I'm saying, like, he actually made that statement, like he has to protect his reputation.
Yeah.
Yes, because he's convincing himself. You know, people lie to themselves as much as they'll lie to their audience. Well, Dan is literally deluding himself into thinking he's as popular as Mark Sargent. The only comparable chart was Mark Sargent in terms of the end figures. And when Leeds Rules did it, I haven't got the video to bring up, but yeah, when Leeds Rules made the comparison, the difference is that you actually, if you had Sly Sparkane and Sean Hufford talking about what Mark Sargent had done, there wouldn't be a hesitation. They wouldn't have to confirm that they knew who they were talking about. They'd instantaneously know, probably just by saying Mark. Oh, well, Mark made another video about the dome. And they'd instantly know who was being talked about. Whereas in reality, when they talk about people like Simon Dan, it's who's Simon Dan? Because no one knows who the hell he is. Because he hasn't got a reputation. He hasn't done anything.
And this is the point where we need to mention Ute. Ute's done a remix of Ranty's video, which is basically Sean Hufford telling or introducing Simon Dan to Sly Sparkane. And Sly Sparkane's real reaction was, "Ooh," which is the way that everybody would when you don't know who's being spoke about. But it's just the way it was done that he just put a backing track on it. So Sean's saying Simon Dan, and Sean and Sly saying, "Ooh, Simon Dan, ooh, Simon Dan,
Who's that?
ooh," and it's on YouTube's channel. If you've not seen it, go and watch it. It's funny as hell.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So massive shout outs to you. Yeah.
Well, I think Simon Dan got enough attention on this channel.
Yeah, the guy's not who he thinks he is. I don't know who he thinks he is, but I know who he's not.
All right.
Thinks he's the science man.
I just can't.
Guy.
I can't stand that. I can't stand that fake laugh that he does. It's so fake. How he throws his head back. Oh man. And that haircut.
Well, what's funny about the guy is that he actually thinks he's got a reputation. I don't know why he thinks that, but also that he. Well, what was I going to say now? It'll come to me. He's got a reputation.
Why are you trying to? You go ahead.
It was the fact that he doesn't put science in his videos. There's like no evidence whatsoever in any of his videos other than the story. So it's like you should be called Rhetoric Man.
I was going to say, I don't mind giving him this attention on account of the fact that his whole channel is based on ridiculing flat earthers with non-information, and this isn't non-information. You know, this is the reality that Dan is faced with. So he's alongside, shoulder to shoulder, with Sly Sparkane and his couple of thousand subscribers, and he's shoulder to shoulder with Red Rhetoric, knocking on 20,000 subscribers. And where's Simon Dan in the pile? Well, he's the king of all these guys. You know, he's the man. So anybody who's got any disillusions about what's going on here. Simon Dan is the king of you lot because he's outperforming all of you. Now, in reality, I know he's not outperforming Sly Sparkane. I know he's not outperforming Charles, who hardly makes any videos. You know, we all know he's not outperforming these guys, but they've now got themselves in a tricky position. Do you concede that Simon Dan is miles better than all of you after no time at all at what you do? So Simon Dan is your leader, and you should take your lead from what he does because he's doing miles better than you. Do you concede that? Because it leaves you in a tricky position with all us just laughing about the obvious truth. But what do these guys do? Because the truth is laughable. So do they scorn Dan or support Dan when we're all laughing about him? It's like, well, what do you do, guys? You're going to say, yeah. I get a few comments from trolls. Hey, Simon Dan's got, hey, shout out to... I can't read that text on that colour. Sin something or other. Thank you very much for the super chat. But yeah, what do you do in that position? Do you support the guy that makes you look bad in terms of how pathetic your views and subs are? And go, yeah, Simon Dan's really good. Really? Is he? He's better than you, is he? By about a factor of 10? Okay. Why isn't he doing this live show and faking the fraudio guy stuff?
Yeah, we need to call on Sean Hufford. Get him in as the wolf on Pulp Fiction to sort it all out for them.
It is quite a pickle.
Well, Sean was crediting him, saying, "Oh yeah, he's so great. I love that video on the gate." You want to hear what he said? It was ridiculous. He said about that gate video. He says, "Good job, man. That was a great video." And I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
So they're all patting each other on the back, lying for each other, deceiving all of us, and creating fake subs in some kind of... It's ridiculous why people don't look at this and just turn away completely and start actually listening to truth, which is where we are and what we're trying to point out. These fake subs and geo whisperers and whatnot. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's laughable.
I think that Geo Whisperers one's going to do so much long-term damage. It's just ridiculous that they can even put up with it. But
where is Geo? Is he on a hiatus?
Well,
he's whispered away.
He's keeping it low key right now.
Yeah,
he's
very
whispered away. Yeah.
Oh, that's smart, I guess.
His silence says a lot, though.
Yeah,
It
Geo.
does.
Why aren't you defending this crap? You've been coached by Soundly, and it's blatantly obvious to everybody. Why aren't you still on the mic defending your position?
Well, Riley's there. He was the one on the other end of the hangout. So where's Geo defending his position? He's not anywhere, but it was their conversation. It was Riley's and Geo's conversation. And Riley's here, he's standing here, and he's asking all the questions and putting everything out. Geo disappeared.
You know what's funny is that when all of that was going down with Gem Panda and the Discord or whatever, Geo was the guy that came in here and went right at Nathan. Mad balls out, just like, yo, he's the one who came out and accused Nathan for wrongly attacking Gem Panda and all this crap. So where's all that energy right now, brother? Where are you?
That's because he had people backing him up. Right now, he's been putting on the spot.
Shout out to Steve Fowler for the super chat. Exactly, they seem to only defend each other by proxy, because then if they get something wrong, so it's GeoStreamer defending Gem Panda, it's Sean Hufford defending GeoStreamer. In other words, if it's not the person who's actually directly guilty, they're never put in a position where they're completely on the spot. So Sean can just lie and obfuscate and distract and all sorts of crap. He can throw every pile of crap he likes at the wall, and it makes no difference if he's made to look bad, if he's shown to be wrong, because GeoStreamer's not involved, right? Who's looking at GeoStreamer right now? Well, this is what I keep saying to Anthony. Look, GeoStreamer's the main guy here. He's the guy who's guilty. He's lied through his back teeth and then instructed Sean to lie on his behalf. Soundly, he's just as guilty. You know, he's absolutely audacious in what he claims. So if you were to play the clip of Anthony talking to GeoStreamer with the Geo Whisperer in the background, you'd actually hear a contemporaneous conversation between GeoStreamer and Soundly. Soundly says, it sounds like I'm coaching Anthony, ha ha ha, because he knows full well he's lying through the... without getting too sweary, he's lying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the more we play it, the more it might bug people in chat. But we have to point out not so much the original offense. I mean, yeah, GeoStreamer did do this. Soundly did do this. But this is what we're playing with. These guys are liars, and they will lie through their teeth. They will literally lie to your face. And then call us all the names under the sun.
Exactly.
Housekeeping. Any evidence of GeoStreamer?
Yeah.
It's a good point, though.
That's fine. That's actually a good one.
Was it Physics Warrior?
GeoStreamer, yeah, I like it.
Was it you, Physics Warrior, that came up with that? Because it is a very good point. He was attacking me vehemently over Gen Panda.
No, it was me.
No, sorry, buddy. I do apologise.
No, that's all right.
So yeah, it's a very good point. You know, he was absolutely guns blazing when it came to defending Gen Panda, but when it comes to defending himself, he's nowhere to be seen. What the hell? What gives?
Yeah, I just remembered how he came in and he was so hard and attacking you, like, oh, you got to take that down and all this crap that he was talking about. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're being accused of being a liar right now, and you've completely disappeared. Where are you? Shouldn't you be all over the place, like trying to prove to people that you're not a liar, that Riley was wrong, and you know where? I mean, you just disappear into the night and let your boys Soundly and Audio Guy hold the fort for you. I don't know, man. It's really suspect.
Yeah, let's be honest as well. It doesn't really matter. You don't even really need the audio analysis to work out what's going on. It's blatantly obvious.
You don't.
There is a coherent back and forth.
That's the worst part, is that you don't need it, but we have it anyway. That's the worst part.
Yeah,
has anybody noticed any other hangouts where they've been cheating and having contemporaneous conversations in the background, or is it just this one?
Well, they do it all the time, but we've never had the evidence.
I bet you they do it all the time.
You can hear sounds. You can hear evidence of Soundly coaching GeoStreamer throughout that entire hangout whenever there's a pause, and you can hear GeoStreamer sounding like he's talking to a third person, because he talks to that person in such a way that it sounds obvious that he's not talking to Anthony, and he doesn't get a reply from Anthony either. So just go and listen to that hangout on GeoStreamer's channel and see for yourself. There's loads of little tells in there, you know.
Yeah.
But
there's one particular part where he says, and I'll quote him because it's pretty much accurate off the top of my head. He says something like, yeah, that's the point. So it's as if somebody says to him, he can't argue that point because that's our point. And it's as if Geo's responded and saying, yeah, that's the point. So it's like, hang on a minute. He actually is speaking to somebody else in the background, because he actually says, yeah, that's the point. And it's like, whoa, what's going on, man? It's so funny. I just laugh at it.
Yeah,
and they got to keep defending this no matter what.
He's getting
no
coached.
matter how bad it becomes, right?
He's
And
getting coached.
you know what's funny is that that was just one hangout. Now imagine, I mean, obviously we can only speculate, but imagine how many other hangouts that they've done that where it was
that's
supposed
what I
to
was
be just
asking.
one.
Yeah.
Well,
You know?
this is the point. I think this is why Sean's got involved, because if people's attention gets pricked to it too much, they might start looking back at some of these older hangouts. You know,
Broken up then, like quite.
Did you say, I don't keep that much of an eye on Red Rhetoric? Well, I don't watch him at all, actually. But did you say that he has hangouts on his own channel and then takes them down and re-ups them on a different channel?
Sure, I don't know.
Falling on
Watch
totally deaf ears. No? Is that not the case?
I honestly don't watch his channel.
I don't either. I'm just sure. I thought it was you, Anthony, that had mentioned that he takes his videos down after he streamed them and then re-ups them. Say again?
Riley, you're breaking
I
up.
think your connection's dying, Anthony.
I'm sorry, Nathan. I can't hear what you're saying. For some reason, you're breaking up, and I don't know why.
I said, did you say that Red Rhetoric takes his hangouts off his main channel, makes them private, and then re-ups them onto a different channel?
Yeah, he puts them on the Redshift, but he's never uploaded my hangout that I had with him, and it's because I got him cornered on a couple of points that he wasn't familiar with, and he's never uploaded it. So shout out to Red's Rhetoric for hiding the hangout where you got dick, and that was me when I was right new in this hangout on YouTube.
Yeah, shout out retracted.
Yeah,
Yeah, well done.
Took the words out my mouth. Shout out retracted.
Yeah, well done.
Pretty sad, guys.
So, well, sorry, we went off track for a second there. So, yeah, there might be people out there that are interested in going over some of these hangouts and having a little closer look at the audio track. See if there are other instances where people are being coached by, team of opponents as opposed to one-to-one hangouts, which is what we expect to have with these people.
Preferably that one that angular size is not a sum. Angular size is a sum. Angle size is the measurement. If anybody happens to hear any more examples in that hangout, I mean, there is a few, but I've not really paid any attention to it after I found that little nugget. But it's definitely there. It's like, if you can find any more examples of it, let me know, because we'll just present it.
So let me ask you guys this. I'll play devil's advocate here, though. Did any of you guys see the Red's Rhetoric versus Jeranism on non-secular?
Yeah,
Saw that.
Would you not say that it would have been helpful if maybe someone had Jaren's ear in that debate?
Well, no, because Jeren was trolling them. What they call a bad hangout or a bad representation by Jeren was actually Jeren deliberately not giving any model, which is what they wanted him to do, and he wasn't doing it. So he was trolling them, but they didn't realize he was trolling them. So props for Jeren for doing that. But yeah, you could argue that somebody should have been in his ear, but I think he was trolling them on that occasion.
Yeah, I just find that, sometimes I see these debates and these, some people just get stuck and, they get sucked into, especially Reds, he's just the red herring guy. And I'm just like, damn it, dude, stay on point, and it's, sometimes I wish that, there was some form of coaching or because that was totally unfair. I mean, they weren't taking flat Earth comments and questions to the panel like they would take only globe. You know what I mean? So sometimes I think that I can kind of understand why the dude would need coaching, but some of us need coaching too.
Yeah, coaching's a good thing if you're open about it. I mean, it makes united you stand, right? Divided we fall if it's one-to-one. But the reality is, it's not that big of a deal, really. We all know that they're doing it, and we know that they have been doing it for a long time. Could never prove it. Does it make that much of a difference? Not really. But it's just nice to know that there is some element of sincerity when you're having a one-to-one with your opponent. But that wasn't the case with this one, and it's just great that we've been able to highlight it and expose it for what it is. Deception.
It's not only deception, it's manipulation as well. Like with the sub count, I just see it as really, really devious. Everything that the Globe kind of defensive side are doing is really devious.
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you can see, we've all got a view on whether it's good, bad, or whatever, and how bad is really bad. Is it really bad, or is it just a little bit bad? But the reality is, it is a deception, and it is worth highlighting to these guys, because these guys are the ones that are supposed to have all the bloody answers, all the science, all the evidence. And when it comes down to it, they don't have that much at all. But we all think that they've got this plethora of evidence, but they just don't have it.
Sorry to interrupt, just 1 second. Event Horizon, your mic is now good. You don't need to be on top of it anymore. I don't know why, but it's bounced back up, so you're like distorting the mic now. It's like really loud.
Sorry, mate. Thank you. Yeah, no, I just see them all as really disingenuous. If you've got all the evidence, if the globe is so obvious and we are spinning around the sun, then they would just calmly present the evidence down on the table, let us look through it. They wouldn't have to lie about it. They wouldn't have to have hangouts where they're having conversations in the background. It would just be really easy. And it just one of those things that goes to prove that it's not a ball bit spinning in space with it, let's be fair.
Does anyone want to answer a question from Woz?
Not really. The guy's he's doing what they're all doing now. You notice that he's doing what George Netanyahu does in chat. He'll sit there bandying around like he's some kind of authority, but in reality, he's not actually making any good points whatsoever. But he's presenting himself as though he is. Well, I mean, if you're able to come on the channel and avoid being caught swearing and stuff continuously, or just avoid sounding like you're drunk, then why don't you come on and tell us all the problems that you think that we've got? Well, we'll remind you that you're the one that's got to produce the evidence for the claim that is, of course, we live on a sphere. You can't just say it, make it true, without evidence, and that's the problem. And Woz can't have the conversation.
Is Woz a drunkard as well? Because I know Jazz Conda is.
Woz has been on a couple of times and been drunk.
Oh.
But he's not been on recently, you see. He warriors in chat, but worrying in chat's not really a strong position to take because everybody's got a keyboard, dude.
Every time Jazz Conda comes on, it gets Nathan triggered, man. Every time.
Right, we're going to round up for a very short break. So I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. But if you liked it, maybe consider sharing it with a friend. Or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!